Okay. All right, we will call the virtual meeting of the Tantasqua School Committee to order at 6:03 p.m. Our first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our December 15th, 2020 virtual regular session meeting. Is there a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Motion's been made by Mr. Goodwin. Do I have a second?
Second,
Who seconded it?
Kristen Leo.
Thank you, Mrs. Leo. Any discussion, edits? Any objection? Seeing none, then by unanimous consent, we'll deem the minutes approved. We will move to the financial report. Mrs. Boyd.
Okay, a couple things to note. So you have the most recent in your packet. Again, I think we're going to be okay this year, but there's a couple of things that are going to make us tight that we're starting now to pay, close attention to the utilities. We are ordering far more oil at the high school than we usually do. So I'm going to anticipate that line is going to be over. At the junior high, we're all electric heat. So it'll be the electric bill that we will likely see over as we have windows open and shooting to get the best circulation we can in these winter months. So that's something I'm anticipating is going to be a decent shortfall. The other thing is showing up as a definite shortfall on your report is that huge $150,000 shortfall in school choice expense. We're going to be talking in a little bit about the virtual academies, which also are on school choice. Some of you may remember this out-of-district tuition, school choice / out-of-district tuition was short last year, and this number is even more than we anticipated. So we've definitely got some creep going on with those virtual academies. Erin's going to speak to it a little bit. I think maybe under new business, while we let you know what we can do to help control that going forward. But these are out-of-district tuitions that are totally separate from the DESE platform, the agreement to keep kids enrolled and still work full remote this year. These are students that, for all intents and purposes, were fully remote last year and will likely continue. But that tuition has now creeped up to $8,600 per head instead of the $5,000 for school choice. And it is a bigger chunk of our out of district. So we've got to cover that. I'm not in panic mode yet on covering both of these significant shortfalls. I'm also going to talk to you next month about the cafeteria and how that's going. That's going to need a bit of help. But as you can see, there's a number of lines and places that we aren't spending what we normally would. We had some unpaid leaves in staff this year. We've got nearly all of our athletics and performing arts costs events not happening. So there's going to be money there remaining at the end. So I think we'll get through, but I'm starting to watch it pretty closely, and I've got a running list of where we're going to be short and where we're going to be positives to make sure that we get through without any huge issue. And then I think at the end, I probably, hopefully somewhere in here, showed the last few pages. Well, the last one it looks like is the revenue, but before that, see the CARES Act, which is the first round of ESSER money. There is still $69,000 left there. I think that money may come into play when we start talking about next year's budget, because that has a life of September 2022. So we can talk about that. We have spent nearly all of that CVRF, as I've been telling you for quite a while. I was determined to spend by December 30th, even though on December 28th, they took the vote that the money could be carried over for a year. So that vote didn't necessarily help us. It's been spent, it's okay. And there will be another round of ESSER CARES money coming that we are hearing will be substantially more than our first round, but will have a shelf life of until 2023. So more to come on that. We haven't seen any final numbers.
Any questions for Mrs. Boyd? All right, thanks, Deb.
Sure.
Oh, there's a question? Go ahead,
Yeah.
Pam.
I was just curious, why are we getting more oil and more electricity? Is it just the prices were
Because
higher?
part of our practice this year to make sure we have as safe an environment as possible is to encourage as much external fresh air circulation as possible. So even in the winter months when we have got filters and the heat is going, we often have windows cracked. So where it's costing us more to keep the building heat is we're literally fighting against.
Yeah.
I understand how
We're heating the village of Fiskdale, actually. The snow's
we
melting.
really
right
are.
there
And
than
those
anywhere else in Massachusetts.
of you who have the conservation committee meeting in the other room could just ignore this whole conversation. We just need to get through this year.
No snow in Fiskdale. It's melting very quickly.
Right.
All right. We will move to staff. Oh, go ahead, Dr. Waters.
You're on mute,
Sue.
Sue.
You're on mute.
Still on mute.
Okay, here we go.
Oh,
There
great.
you
Deb,
are.
can you let Eli in too, please?
Oh, yep.
And I think Megan is trying to get in.
I see Eli waiting. I don't see Megan yet, but we'll keep an eye out.
Okay. Go ahead.
Sue?
Okay, the CARES Act, can't that pay for our increased fuel needs?
Yeah, it can. It's same thing
Yes.
with the CVRF, although at this point in time, that CVRF fund is gone. So yes, we can use some of what's left of the CARES Act to get through this year if need be. I'm hoping, again, if we can balance out and have enough positives to offset those negatives, I would rather not spend that and save it for the next couple of years when we hopefully get kids back in the building and get a good measure of what educational things we could spend that money on. But yes, Sue, it's there if we need it.
Thank you.
And Megan is coming on her phone.
Any other questions for Deb? Okay, we'll move to our staff report. Mr. Sturgis, I see you first, so I'll let you go first.
All right, happy to. It's part of my report was just before the Christmas break. One thing I do want to mention, we did it last year as well. We were able to collect a number of donations to provide for some students of ours who families may struggle at this time. And one thing that's different about kind of Thanksgiving, we just provide everyone the food baskets, which is awesome as well. But we are able to give them Tantasqua kind of gear so that when they show up to school wearing the donated items, no one can tell any different from anybody else. So we're able to provide over 40 kids with Tantasqua hooded sweatshirts and some Tantasqua winter hats for to go into the holiday break. So that was one good thing. Another thing is I didn't put in my report. I will discuss it next week at this curriculum subcommittee is our student survey results. And it's actually refreshing after everything we've kind of worked through this year to get back to talking about student academics and regular school year kind of concerns and trying to work with students kind of through their academics and get back on track. Obviously, we're still always talking about COVID safety protocols, but now we're working with teachers and listening to the kids and their response and figuring out ways to help them navigate this very difficult and kind of confusing year for some of them. And I'm sure Mike and Mark saw the same across the street as well. There's some that are loving this model and this staying at home model as well. So it's interesting to see the variance of responses from kids, those who are soaking this thing in and enjoying the ride, and the majority who want to just be back in front of their teachers and around their friends in school. So it's actually refreshing to have these kind of conversations with other members of the staff and work with our kids on how to continue to make this thing work. I mean, the way we kind of look at it is if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it well. So, and again, I keep saying it every month of these meetings is just a constant tip of the cap to the teaching staff in the building. I mean, they're coming, they're working hard and doing the best we can for the situation we're in. And it's going very well to junior high right now.
Any questions for Mr. Sturgis?
Yeah, Mike, I have a question. Greg, I noticed your comments on ski club. How is that going? I mean, I imagine that must be a whole different process than in previous years.
So far, 2 for 2. We've 2 weeks in, and both weeks went well. And so we had the numbers are down a little bit just because of the transportation. Kids have to get themselves there. Our families, I should say, have to get the kids there. But other than that, it's been nothing but positive feedback. The families who are involved are excited to have an activity with their friends. And that's one of the only things we can do right now where they're outdoors and following the protocols. But the first 2 weeks went really well, at least in the junior high side. And Mike and I talked about this one. Senior high side as well has had 2 excellent weeks starting this year.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions for Mr. Sturgis? All right, Mr. Lucas?
All right, thank you. First of all, I'll talk about the memo for graduation. Due to the uncertainty of the pandemic, we would like to have graduation outside again on the stadium. Because it takes some time to set it up, we'd like to move it to June 12th with a rain date of June 13th. Originally scheduled for Sunday, June 5th. But we have SATs. Our biggest SAT day is the day before that. So we're going to need to move it to that weekend. It gives us another week to set up, gives us some flexibility. We think we have the routine down from last July. It went really well. As soon as this meeting's over, I'll communicate that out to all our senior families and let them know also. But the plan is to have commencement again outside on the stadium. I'll take any questions, Mike, on that first, if anybody has questions about that.
Anyone
Do
have questions?
Do you need a motion on that, Michael?
I don't think I do. I just have to let you guys be aware of it, I believe. If there's, if you guys disagree, you can let me know. But in the past, Bill, I've just make sure I've notified you guys, then I notify the public. I think that's great.
Okay.
Is there any objection to the dates as outlined?
This also allows us with the Saturday, Sunday, the rain date would be right the next day instead of
Yeah,
keeping all the
great.
gear set up and everything, so.
Perfect.
And I think you did a great job last year. I thought it ran real.
It was
real
great.
well.
It was awesome. I'm glad we could pull it off. A lot of good teamwork. So it was great. So we're hoping to do that again. And we'll send that. I'll communicate that out very well to all of our senior families. We are ready to switch over at the high school. We're very much like a college. We switch over our classes to second semester. Most of our students have brand new classes unless they're in a year-long shop or a year-long AP class. So we're getting ready for that. Our most recent survey, we had 85 families request cohort changes, and that means to go from full-time remote to hybrid or hybrid to full remote. We have been able to make those adjustments in IPASS. Now we've got counselors looking at schedules and class sizes to make sure we're staying within our COVID protocols. It's a lot of work, but we're moving along and progressing nicely. Only about 8% of our students asked for a change. Most of them chose to stay where they were, which is interesting. Of the hybrid students, we do have a wait list of 180 students who would like to go to school every day. So we have some planned second semester for the kids that aren't showing up that are in a hybrid so that we can allow for more kids to go in. We've prioritized our special ed and ELL kids and those kids that are really struggling learning at home in difficult environments. But we'll continue to look at that and allow as many kids to come to school as can do that. The last thing I wanted to talk about real quick was we had a very unusual award. Grace Farland was the December MIAA Athlete of the Month. We've had several Warriors nominated in the past, but she actually was chosen for this. ADs, principals, and coaches send these in every month from all over the state. Grace Farland is a senior. She's going to the University of Hartford on a golf scholarship. Wonderful young lady, great student. For her sportsmanship, basically in a nutshell, she was invited to play in a very elite tournament. And one of a friend that she knew, a boy, was not invited. So Grace gave up her spot in the tournament so that he could play in the tournament. Ironically, he attends Shepherd Hill, so that even extends the sportsmanship to one of our rivals. But also that student then won the tournament against the best players in Massachusetts. So just a wonderful story by Grace and a great kid. Can't say enough about her. Again, we've had many Warriors nominated for this and not been chosen, but she was chosen. It's a wonderful award. So I wanted to share that with you guys.
Okay.
And that's all I have, Mike, for today.
All right, Mike. Any other questions for Mr. Lucas? All right, Mr. Wood.
Hello, how are you?
Good,
So,
good evening.
couple of things, just going back to my report. I received today a thank you from Wade Woolley, who received the scholarship, and I want to share that with you. It says, thank you for awarding me a portion of the Dean Haas Foundation grant as a scholarship. This will definitely help me achieve my goals at Penn Tech. You'll be happy to know that I've made the Dean's List for the first semester. Clearly, Tantasqua prepared me well. Thank you for all you have done to support me. And that was to me and his two teachers in the manufacturing program.
Nice.
Very nice.
Also got some feedback from Cody, and as I showed you, you met Cody at least virtually last year, and he is doing an incredible job in the Gillette internship for engineering, which is a Procter & Gamble product. He has assumed a whole bunch of responsibilities. He's doing Dean's List work at Wentworth, and I received some feedback from some of his supervisors who are totally impressed with him, and through that have said your school must be amazing. So I think those are two huge feedback moments for us and what we do at Tantasqua. And the last thing I want to go off the grid, not on the report, and draw your attention. Obviously, this COVID has changed everything that we do. Normally in November, we would have our grade A tours, then followed by the grade A parent night. But obviously, COVID has changed that. So we had to kind of retool that. And in doing that, we've created a video, which is a virtual grade A tour. And I want to especially thank Mrs. Carty, Senior Evan Thomas, and Junior Colin Carey for spearheading the video. The project took a little bit longer because it was a whole learning process. I think the video provides a great tour of what we have to offer at the tech school. The teachers and the students in each program also had some input into that program. And I want to thank Greg and Holly, the guidance counselor, for last week. The kids actually saw the video and now they have the applications. And, you know, after the meeting, when you don't want to go and like watch TV, you can go on the Tantasqua website, go to the tech school, and you will actually be able to see both, all three. The grade 8 tour, which I'm going to tell you, the coolest thing is Colin Carey and his drone. And the footage of the campus is amazing. It is, you don't realize how big Tantasqua is until a drone flies over it, because that thing is huge. So it's absolutely beautiful. But there's the parent information night, and there's also just over the past 5 or 6 years a slideshow presentation of what tech looks like to kids. So it's been a metamorphosis as far as the change for us as how we do things. I would say that it has been successful, and I thank Greg for arranging everything at the high school, at the junior high. We've had good feedback already. I think over the weekend I got 10 emails from junior high kids about the video and everything else. So I think we're in good shape, and we'll see how it all flies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions for Mr. Wood? All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. We'll move to our committee reports. First up, students. Mary, I think you're flying solo tonight, it looks like.
Thank you. So throughout December, Student Council has been continuing to hold virtual events and meetings. On December 3rd, we sent 9 delegates to the virtual MASC officer shop, where we participated in a keynote speaker and workshop with the State Executive Board. We also collaborated with the elementary schools for our annual toy drive, providing toys to over 45 families in our district. We picked winners for our virtual gingerbread house contest with 17 students and staff entering the contest. On December 9th, we held a virtual Among Us game with 18 students participating. On December 19th, we held our most successful virtual event, Trivia Night. We had over 25 students and staff participate in 5 rounds of trivia. And we are currently in the process of planning our school-wide polar plunge for Special Olympics Massachusetts, with 51 students already signed up to participate.
Wow.
We are hoping to do at least one in-person event for the school and specifically the class of 2021 before the year ends if guidelines allow us to. But until then, we will continue to host virtual events and meetings which all students and staff are invited to participate in.
Great. Questions for Mary?
Yeah, Mary, did Mr. Lucas sign up for that polar plunge?
I don't think so.
I'm in, Mary, I'm in. I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Where is it going to be? I hope not the pond at the high school. You'll be coming out of that with more than COVID.
We're gonna get We're gonna get creative, Mike. The pond is actually under discussion.
Oh, why don't you come on down to Lake George in Wales? I think
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, as of right now, I think we're planning to do it sort of on our own and then have students and staff send in videos and pictures just so we're all separate and safe in our own homes. I think that's the best way to do it as of right now.
And Mary, how could school committee members join in if they wanted to?
I'll be sending out the link soon in the staff newsletter if anyone wants to join. So
if Haggerty does it, I'll do it. There
I'll
we
be the
go.
recorder. I've gotten very good on technology, so I will record any of you.
perfect.
Is bathtubs count?
Yeah, anything
Yep.
counts. Literally.
Very flexible this year.
Okay.
That's awesome. Great update. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, Mary.
Hi, Mary. Thank you, hon.
All right, budget, Mrs. Noyes Miller.
We did not have a meeting, but we do have our meeting Saturday morning at 9 at the junior high library for the review of the 21-22 school year budget.
Very good. Move to technical, Dr. Waters.
No meeting, no report.
Curriculum, Mrs. Barnacle. You're on mute, Pat.
Our next meeting is January 25th. And we've got students coming in to take part in the whole thing, so it'll be fun. Mike too, I'm sure, right? Yeah.
Great. All right, we will move. Mrs. Fitzgerald, do you want me to come back to you for new business, or do you want to go through this now?
If possible, Mr. Valenzola, I'd like to go through it now because I may have to jump off shortly. So if the committee will indulge
you
me.
don't ask for much. I'm happy to oblige.
Thank you. I
Take it
promise
away.
I will make it relatively quick. It looks worse than it is. All right, as you can see from our list, we really only have a short list of policies that require any individual action. We'll take them really quickly. Starting with policy ECAF, it's our policy on security cameras in schools. This is a brand new policy for us. We haven't had one in the past, but it's all the more important now that we have updated and improved and expanded on our security camera system. So we're asking for a motion to amend, a motion to adopt this new policy on first reading.
Michelle, what we'll do is, why don't you just go through them, and then
Okay.
I'll take a single motion on all as presented.
Great.
And then I'll call the roll for that one vote.
Terrific. All right, so that's ECAF. Moving on to EBB, first aid policy. A very simple amendment to address infectious diseases and to include guardians along with parents for contact purposes. Those are the only amendments requested. Our third policy, EBC, emergency plans. We are suggesting and recommending that we add language to conform the policy to our practice of annually reviewing our emergency response plan with our local officials. That's the only amendment to that policy. Policy EBCF, Energy Management Conservation Policy. You can see we simply added the words "as requested" in the third paragraph. This gives the district some flexibility to report data regarding our energy consumption only as requested. It deleted language that essentially required that we provide data to the media on a program which actually doesn't even exist in the same form as it did when this policy was first drafted. And next we have policy EBCF, Energy, nope, hang on.
See,
EC,
Sorry about that.
Buildings and Ground Management.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. EC, Buildings and Ground Management, pronoun change only. No other change, no other amendment. And policy ECAC, again, pronoun change only. No other change, no other amendment. And finally is, nope, we have two more. EEAG, Student Transportation and Private Vehicles. The recommendations here address situations that occur predominantly with athletes, choral competitions, and the like, when students may be held after school for standardized tests, AP tests. As you can imagine, there are many occasions where a team may be having a game at another school and we have an athlete or a student who has to get to that extracurricular activity and there is no bus available. Our current policy only addresses emergencies. We are requesting to amend the policy to expand the situation where an individual student might seek approval from the school administration, obviously with the consent of the parent, to take a private vehicle to that extracurricular activity. And finally, student conduct on school buses. This we deleted from the policy, our current policy language, which actually is already contained in our handbook and is actually more practice than policy. We're confining the policy itself to what you see before you. We also found that the exact same policy was duplicated elsewhere in our policies, and you'll see our next policy, we're going to be rescinding that duplication. But these policies, ECAF through JICC, Mr. Chairman, are the policies where we are requesting amendment on first reading.
All right, and we will bring that motion to the floor. It doesn't require a second as it's a recommendation of the standing committee. Are there any questions? Is there any discussion? All right, I'll call for a vote. Mr. Haggerty,
yes.
Mrs. Noyes Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Barnacle,
Yes.
Mrs. Beleza,
Yes.
Ms. Cunningham,
Yes.
Ms. Custance,
Yes.
Mrs. Michelle Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mrs. Pamela Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mrs. Leo,
Yes.
Mrs. Randall,
Yes.
Ms. Alvin,
Yes.
Dr. Waters,
Yes.
Mr. Goodwin.
Yes.
Oh, I see Mr. Gillen is here. Mr. Gillen?
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. Okay, Michelle?
Yes, and I apologize, Mr. Chairman, because we do have three policies that we do need a motion to rescind. Policies EEAC, EEAEC, EEACE-R, JLCE-1. These are all policies that are either duplicative or unnecessary in our opinion. We're asking that they be rescinded on first reading.
All right, we will bring that motion to the floor. Doesn't require a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the chair will call for a vote. Mr. Haggerty,
Yes.
Mrs. Noyes Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Barnacle,
Yes.
Mrs. Beleza,
Yes.
Ms. Cunningham,
Yes.
Ms. Custance,
Yes.
Mrs. Michelle Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Pamela Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mrs. Leo,
Yes.
Mr. Gillen,
Yes.
Mrs. Randall,
Yes.
Miss Alvin,
Yes.
Dr. Waters,
Yes.
and Mr. Goodman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, and Mr. Chairman, that leaves us with just the 13 policies that we reviewed and passed on with no changes. There's no action required by this committee on those. They're listed in your agenda. And finally, we have a recommendation by the subcommittee regarding the superintendent's request for the subcommittee's support on a vote to cap district enrollment in districts by district students in Commonwealth of Massachusetts virtual schools. I'm sure Dr. Nozick will fill in the details on this, but by way of very brief background, let me say that the state currently operates 2 K-12 virtual schools. These are public schools operated by boards of trustees and are 100% virtual. Similar to school choice, if one of our students elects this option for their schooling, the district pays the cost of tuition for that student. As Ms. Boyd said earlier, I think the cost this year is in the range of $8,600. That is more per student than we currently pay for those who might elect school choice. By law, enrollment in these Commonwealth of Massachusetts virtual schools is capped at 2% of statewide enrollment. For that reason, the state monitors enrollment of every school, every district in the state. And notifies districts who find themselves over and above the minimum of 1% of their district-wide enrollment enrolled in these schools. This year, the Tantasqua district is one of those schools who finds that its virtual school enrollment is slightly over 1%. Under state law, we have the discretion to cap student enrollment in the virtual schools at a minimum of 1%. If we elect to not do that, if for some reason we do not take a vote to establish this cap, my understanding and my reading of the law is that the state will assign us the minimum of 1% as a cap. It should be noted that if we establish the cap, whatever that cap may be, it's not going to affect those students who are already enrolled in these virtual schools. No student will have to withdraw because they are in a past class, which is over and above the 1%. It will only impact students who seek to enroll in these virtual schools moving forward. So based on our discussion with the superintendent, it was the subcommittee's recommendation unanimously that we support a motion to cap our district-wide enrollment in the Commonwealth of Mass virtual schools at 1%. And I will turn to Dr. Nozick to fill in and answer any more detailed questions.
No, did a beautiful job, Michelle. Thank you. That sums it up perfectly. 1% or below is typically where we are. It's unusual that we were flagged to be above 1%. The 1% is going to work out by June to be total FTEs. We have a number of students who do not fulfill the full school year. They will go in the fall. They might leave, they might go to homeschooling, they might come back. But 1% is as allowed by the law to be able to be our cap. And I think that's what we should be doing, as again, that's pretty typical with where our enrollment is, or slightly under 1%.
All right, that's a recommendation of the Bylaw and Policy Committee, so we'll bring that motion to the floor. Is there any further discussion? Okay, good overview, Michelle. Thank you for that. And thank you, Dr. Nozick. All right, we'll call the roll. Mr. Haggerty. Yes, okay, I got you. Mrs. Noyes Miller.
Yes.
Mrs. Barnacle.
Yes.
Mrs. Beleza.
Yes.
Ms. Cunningham.
Yes.
Ms. Custance.
Yes.
Mrs. Michelle Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Mrs. Pamela Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Mrs. Leo. Mr. Gillen.
Yes.
Mrs. Randall.
Yes.
Miss Alden.
Yes.
Dr. Waters.
Yes.
Mr. Goodwin.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right. Bring us back to our agenda. Negotiation Subcommittee, Mrs. Randall, any report?
No report?
Building and Physical Plant, Mrs. Leo, any report?
No meeting, no report. We are gonna get a date on Saturday.
Great. All right, there's a couple of items in your packets under communications. Some of those were sent electronically. We also included a thank you note. And that will bring us to the superintendent's report. Dr. Nozick.
Thank you, Mr. Valenzola. Happy New Year to everybody, and also continued ongoing thanks, as Greg mentioned, all our principals, really a tremendous ongoing team effort, and I'm extremely appreciative of everybody's hard work to maintain in-school and in-person school under our current hybrid model. A few things that I want to talk about that weren't in your packet, kind of coming late. One is around an update related to the flu vaccine. As you recall, I shared with you earlier in the fall that the state was requiring flu vaccines for all children who were enrolled in attending school by December 31st. They have decided to just put that off for this year. I think the overall numbers are very low as far as flu cases, and they're feeling that all of the other public health mitigation efforts that are in schools are actually keeping flu low. So I will keep you updated on that, but that has been changed. There, Deb referenced a little bit. We were notified also about a week ago that we will be receiving additional ESSER grants. This is part of the second kind of CARES Act funding that came through the federal government. We don't have figures right now, but we do anticipate that it's money that will help us offset any ongoing costs as it relates to COVID. And we will keep you posted once we receive those additional figures. I also sent you, or Deb sent you, the data display that we're going to be putting on our website, and it's actually currently there. I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at it, but as we talk about the cases that we've had, we have spoken about issuing letters on a regular basis every time. Some schools are doing it weekly. Frankly, some schools aren't notifying their parents or students in school communities about the numbers of COVID cases. And the goal of informing folks is to keep them not only informed around the cases, but to report things like whether the child or student was in school over the previous 7 days. The Department of Ed, as we know, does collect that data, and we are required to respond to the Department of Ed and let them know if there is a positive case that impacts either a child or an adult, and if they have been in the building over the previous 7 days. And it's a way for them, as we've spoken about before, to kind of look, is there a spike somewhere? Is there a need to deploy the mobile response unit from the state, and to identify schools that might need help should there be a spike in cases? So we have spoken with the nurses. We've spoken at it about leadership team and at all of our school committees. So Deb and Jody have put together what I think is kind of a perfect combination of the information that goes home in letters informing folks of the numbers of cases and what is reported to the Mass Department of Ed. And we decided that with the support of the nurses that we would put it on our website so people could just access it as they want, and we'll be updating it weekly. So if you had a chance to take a peek on the website, if not, we did scan and send these to you. You can see we're breaking it down by week, starting the week of September 21st through the 27th. And we are listing the numbers of confirmed cases, a combination of students and staff. The Department of Ed does break those out when you're reporting to them, folks who've been in the building for within 7 days. We just put the confirmed cases combined, and then the number that is reportable. So you can see at the junior high, since school opened, there has been a total of 23 cases reported. Again, that could be students or staff. And that 6 of those cases only impacted the school where there was tracing done and had an impact because of the either the child or the staff member had been in school over previous 7 days. And it really is related to contact tracing as well as quarantining. And on the senior high, we do have the combined statistics for both of the high schools. And we can see that there were 58 cases overall, combined students and staff, and then reportable were 18. So we're hoping by putting this on our website, people will be able to access it easily. And I know I need to apologize when I send you the letters, because that was a commitment I made that I would forward to you, that sometimes I don't even remember if I forwarded you the letter because of just the way the workday goes. So this will allow you to always be able to check back at the end of the week, just in case I miss sending an email out. And also want to remind everybody that we include full remote learners or workers. So those numbers of those cases, part of the reason you only see 18 is not only that the child or staff member may not have been in the building the previous 7 days, they may not have been in the building, quite candidly, since March, since last March. We really cast our net wide, again, in order to be really transparent with the numbers of folks who we're notified have confirmed cases. So I don't know if you have any questions on that. And again, I thank Deb and Jody for working on this, as well as the nurses who have tracked just unbelievably, an unbelievable effort at their tracking to do this type of data display.
Oh, Erin?
Yep.
I was just wondering, how do we compare to other schools? Are we better, same, worse?
It's hard to tell. I can tell you that we haven't really compared ourselves to other districts, primarily just focusing on ours. We have to remember some districts aren't even back to school with students in the building. So their data, they're not even going to have to report any cases, frankly, unless perhaps the teachers are working in the building. I'm not sure how they would work that. I think to be almost at the halfway point in school, and to have numbers that I think are manageable and have been manageable. There has been a week or two. In fact, when you look at the senior high data, the week, right, the December 28th through the 3rd, 13 cases, and then the 4th to the 10th, 18th, where we're going to hope that that's what we peaked, because last week we were only at 4. So all of the hard work of the staff, all of the mitigation efforts, the safety protocols, and really immense cooperation from families and parents. And then, of course, the students, they're critical. They are the key players in this for doing well. So I can't honestly let you know, Pam, how we compare, but I think given the size of our district, doing a good job with keeping.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think we're doing a good job. I was just thinking, pretty sure Quabbin, they just went full remote and they're not going back to the building.
A lot, the part I haven't spoken about is the Board of Health as well. We are in constant communication with them. So perhaps there was something in the towns I'm not sure of, because that is a key partner and a key supporter of any of the decisions we make.
Mike?
Yep, Mr. Haggerty.
Yeah, I would like to say something with respect to the report. First of all, it's great. Thank you very much for this. This is phenomenal. I keep getting those emails and I'm going, sometimes I get distracted in terms of how many, and I feel like we're everyone in the school has been infected. So this is very helpful. It does, I think, point out that our kids do better when they were in school, because I would suspect that on the senior high, the reports from 1228 to 13 and 14 to 110 are probably reflective of the school vacations periods when kids are not in school. And the same goes with the junior high. So, I think it lends some credence to the fact that kids may be safer in school than they are safer at home.
Thank you, Mr. Haggerty. Any other questions for Dr. Nozick on her report? I will say that thinking back to the summer months, if I thought we'd be sitting here looking at February and still be sending kids to school. I might not have been so sure. So it's nothing short of a miraculous achievement for everybody involved. So keep up the great work.
Thank
And
you.
Mike, can I throw one other comment in? Because I made it a couple of meetings ago when I said that I thought the teachers were doing a hell of a job. You know, they've got a very hard road in front of them, and they've been doing commendable work. And I know some people interpreted my comment and some others made by my colleagues here on the committee as being, you know, less than authentic. And I want to tell you that it is genuine. With respect, and I think everyone on the school committee supports our staff, knows how hard they're working and the conditions under which they're working, and we're very appreciative.
Wonderful sentiments.
Thank you, Mr. Haggerty.
Thank you, Mr. Haggerty.
Just two more quick things. We are being told that we are still, as far as overall vaccines, that K to 12 education and early education is still in phase 2. We're still a priority below individuals with comorbidity or really high risk. So we are obviously ready, willing, and able to help support any initiative around that. So we're still hoping that that February through April window is going to impact frontline workers and essential workers, which we know our educators are. So we've received no additional information on that, but we do anticipate hopefully getting some. Our school choice applications continue to come in. So as of right now, we expect 19 incoming 7th graders. These would be children who are participate in school choice in 3 of our 5 elementary schools that have school choice. And we have 2 sibling applications and 7 general lotteries for grade 7. We also have 2 8th grade lottery, no siblings, and 4 9th grade lotteries. So we just open up, we start to take, just a reminder, those applications January 1st, we take them through the end of March. So coming in kind of right where we anticipate they would be. And then finally in your packet was information around assessment and accountability. There is not a lot of news regarding the high school, but there is some information regarding the middle school. And on that second page or the back page, you do see that we are being notified by the state that students in grades 3 through 8 will be participating in a shortened MCAS. Exactly what that means, we're not 100% sure. And the commissioner is at a minimum making a commitment that he will advocate that these tests be given purely for benchmarking assessment to find out where children are, where deficits are, and the work that we'll need to do to fill any of those gaps for those children, and that he is not interested in using it for accountability purposes, but to be continued. And I will defer to my high school colleagues. I believe we continue to have receive no information on 11th grade for the spring, correct? Yeah, so we'll continue to keep you posted. I think I spoke last month, not only is it currently competency determination for your high school diploma, so we assume they're going to take it, but there's also the score requirement to receive the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship. So that's really important to me to make sure that we give access to those families for those students to get those scholarships. So, but unfortunately, this assessment and accountability update didn't shed any light on where high school will end up, but we'll keep you posted on that. And that is my report.
Thank you, Dr. Nozick.
Thank you.
Any final questions for Dr. Nozick? Okay. I just wanted to give a quick update relative to the superintendent search. I have been including the entire school committee on the district-wide communications in an effort for full transparency. I've been providing some updates district-wide as we continue through the process. And so, you know, at this point, I think you've all seen those communications. We do have our interview committee established. That includes school committee representatives from both the Union 61 and Tantasqua side for all towns, as well as keeping with the spirit of the search that we did about 10 years ago, which I shared. I've invited a couple of staff members to participate in non-voting capacity, but to be part of that. They are Tracy Carboni, who is a 25-year veteran of the district, a department head, involved in negotiations in the past, executive member of the TEA, as well as Kathy Pelly, who's representing the Union 61 side of the house, principal of Burgess, great, background in special education. So I feel we have good representation from a staffing perspective, as well as all the communities well represented. Applications, if you saw in the notification that was sent out, will be accepted through the 25th, I believe. And then I'll provide another update after that district-wide once the interview committee has met to begin to review those applications. So just wanted to give a quick update to everybody. I'll continue to communicate that district-wide so that everybody is feeling they're aware of the process. Okay, we have concluded new business already as a part of the bylaw and policy report. So that brings us to public access. Okay. Brings us to open forum. Is there anybody else on the committee that wishes to make any comments, any final comments before we adjourn? All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
Seconded.
Seconded by Mr. Goodwin. Any objection? All right, by unanimous consent, we will close the meeting at 6:55 p.m. Thank you, everybody, very much for participating. And those of you on budget, we'll see you Saturday in person.
Everyone.
Night, everybody.
Night
Take
all.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye.